So let's talk about a really powerful idea today, ruthless patience. And no, it's not just about sitting around and waiting. We're going to deconstruct the real psychological engine behind mastering anything and how you can chase your biggest goals without, completely burning out in the process.
But first, let's start with a question that I think probably hits pretty close to home for a lot of us. Why do so many people, why do we, fail at our long-term goals? I mean, whether it's learning a new skill, starting a business, getting in shape, we've all seen it. People start with all this fire and passion, and then they just fizzle out. What is really going on there?
Well, it's so easy to blame the stuff on the outside, right? We say, oh, I had a bad strategy, or I just didn't have the right tools. But what if that's not the real story? What if the real problem is us? What if it's our own impatience, our own emotional knee-jerk reactions to every little setback that are secretly sabotaging us, way before our strategy even has a chance to prove itself?
And that brings us to our first big idea here, what's called the hidden emotional stage. Because before you can ever win on the outside, you have to get through this internal battlefield. This is where the real war is fought.
And this really gets to the heart of it. A huge reason we fail is that we're just completely obsessed with getting quick results. That desperate need for a fast win, a fast payoff, it makes us give up on the slow, hard, and let's be honest, often boring work that actually leads to real, lasting success.
So let's put a clear definition on this. The hidden psychological stage. It's that slow, difficult process of basically rewiring your own emotions. It's the unglamorous, behind-the-scenes work of changing how you deal with patience and failure. And here's the kicker. It has to happen before you can ever hope to have any real success on the outside. Okay, so once you start doing this internal work, you're pretty much guaranteed to run into a tough moment. This next stage is all about confronting the mirror. It's where you're forced to face the reality that, yeah, your biggest opponent is usually staring right back at you.
This quote just nails it. Now, it talks about the market, but honestly, you can swap that out with anything truly difficult. Learning an instrument, building a company, running a marathon. The challenge itself, it just acts like this giant, unforgiving mirror. It doesn't give you new flaws. It just shows you, in high definition, the ones that were already there. So, what does this mirror show us? Oh, it shows us everything. It reflects our greed, our impulsivity, that deep-seated, almost primal need to get what we want right now. And maybe most importantly, it shows us how we tend to treat any loss or setback not as just neutral data, but as some kind of deep personal failure that just guts our ego.
All right, so we've identified the problem. We've looked in the mirror and seen the enemy. Now what? How do we actually fight back? Well, that brings us to the tools. This is how you start forging ruthless patience.
This is the roadmap for that internal rewiring we talked about. Number 1, you have to commit to the process, not the outcome. You have to actually fall in love with the daily grind. 2, you've got to learn to see losses as just neutral data. They're not failures, they're feedback. That's it. 3, practice emotional detachment. And number 4, the glue that holds it all together, apply consistent, unwavering discipline, especially on the days you don't feel like. And this just sums it all up, doesn't it? Success doesn't just need any old patience. It needs a ruthless patience, the kind that's stubborn, relentless, the kind that isn't scared off by your own emotional drama or a few bumps in the road. It's not passive waiting. It's an active, offensive weapon.
So if you can actually do this, if you can build this ruthless patience, what's the reward? What's the light at the end of the tunnel? Well, that brings us to the breakthrough. We're talking about the incredible power of something called mental compounding.
But to get there, you have to completely reframe your definition of winning. See, the goal isn't to win every single day. The real goal is just to endure, to stay in the game long enough for your skills, your discipline, and your patience to all compound into something amazing. It's a game of survival that ultimately leads to thriving. And this is the grand prize, mental compounding. It's that slow, steady buildup of emotional discipline. Think of it like this. Every time you choose the process over panic, every time you treat a loss as just data, you're making a tiny deposit in a mental bank account. Over time, all those little deposits compound and grow into this state of mastery that, from the outside, looks almost effortless.
So in the end, it all just boils down to this one simple difference. The amateur is basically a puppet, just yanked around by their emotional reactions, fear, greed, you name it. But the professional is defined by their emotional detachment. It's not that they don't feel those emotions, they just aren't controlled by them. And that, right there, is the entire game.
Which leaves us with one final thought to take with you. We've talked about how any big challenge in life acts as a mirror to who we really are. So the question I want to leave you with is this: what is the mirror in your life? In your career, your personal goals, your biggest ambitions? What is it revealing to you right now?